Hey everyone, I'm Andrew from Dr. Neat's first period class, and in this video we're going to be learning about the rectangle block contains method. So all I have over here is a normal universal base code, completely empty, and the first thing I'm going to do is create two static rectangles. Static rectangle, whoops, 1 and 2. So the goal of the program we're going to write is just to have one rectangle stay still and the other one, oh, you can't see, have one rectangle stay still and the other one come and slowly hit it. And hopefully by the end, we'll be able to have the rectangle stop once it hits the second one. So first off, we're going to make a while loop. Actually, before that, we're going to actually initialize these rectangles. So we'll say 1 equals new rectangle. Whoops. Let's start with 0, 100, 50, 50. So this is our first one. This is the one that will be moving. Our second one, not minus, 2 equals new rectangle. Let's start this over at like 300, no, 200. Same height. Let's make this smaller. So 20, 20. Okay. So, oh, then we gotta draw them, of course. One dot draw. Forgot the semicolon. Okay, so now that we have these two, let's compile and run. It's always a good idea to, okay. Where did you go? Haha, see, it's always good to check. Oh, because it drew one twice off. Okay. Alright, that's why it's good to check. Every time you write a little chunk of code, you always want to try and compile and run to see if everything's working in bits so you don't get screwed over at the end when you have no idea what's wrong. So, there we go. So now we have our two rectangles. Now what I'm going to do is just make a while loop right here. And for now, I'm just going to say while true. And we will have one translate across the screen. Then I'm going to add a pause, let's say 15 milliseconds. Save that. What is this? Oh, that's fine. We compile, we run, and we should see our rectangles moving. So that's good. So now all that we have to do is use the rectangle contains method. And in order to do that, what I'm going to do is have rectangle 1 stop moving once it hits rectangle 2. So the way we're going to do that is by changing the while loop condition, and what I'm going to write is 1 dot contains 2. So what the contains method does is return a Boolean value that says if the two rectangles are intersecting, it will return true. If they're not intersecting, then it will return false. So if I try to run this, some of you may have noticed already, but if I try to run this, we'll see that neither of the rectangles are moving. And that is because if we look at the code, this condition is false from the start. 1 does not contain 2 at the very beginning, and therefore the while loop will not run, because the while loop will only run while the condition is true. So instead, what I'm going to do is throw a exclamation mark in front of that, and this exclamation mark basically says while not this, or sorry, it basically is not this. So it will reverse whatever output you give it. If you give it a true, it'll give you a false. If you give it a false, it'll give you a true. So if we go ahead and compile and run, you should see it moving and boom. So you can see how the moment they intersect, the moment the first rectangle nudges into the second one, the first rectangle stops. And that's because once this happens, this statement up here, one dot contains 2, starts to return true, and this exclamation mark will automatically flip that to a false. And because the while loop is detecting a false, one dot or one is no longer being translated. And that is how you use the rectangle dot contains method. So this video is pretty simple, so I'll just leave it here. If you have questions, don't hesitate to find me on Discord in any of the servers. I'm pretty sure I'm in like all of them. Or ask your group leader in your next class period. All right, see you guys.